Many people ask me the real secret to living a luxurious lifestyle on a basic salary. I tell them the boring truth that the golden age of cheap travel is officially dead and buried, but nobody wants to hear that because everyone wants to believe they can fly across the world for $30 forever. Let us sit down and talk about the brutal economic reality of why your next vacation is going to cost you a fortune. The news about Spirit Airlines, shutting down entirely about 3 weeks ago, is not just a story about one bankrupt company. It is a massive wake-up call for anyone who relies on budget tourism to escape their daily financial grind. They filed for bankruptcy twice within 1 year and then failed to secure a last-minute government bailout. Now they are gone, and the low-cost seats they brought to the market are gone with them. This is a textbook example of how the K-shaped economy works in 2026. While budget airlines are going completely out of business, the private jet charter companies are struggling to keep up with demand. The top half of the population has more money than ever from asset gains in stocks and real estate, while the bottom half is using new age consumer debt just to buy a basic economy ticket. Travel-related expenses are up by 20% year over year, and that was before the crisis in Iran broke out. Now, jet fuel prices have roughly doubled, with North American jet fuel up around 95%. It went from $2.50 a gallon to around $4.56 a gallon in a matter of months. If you think the regular airlines are going to absorb that cost out of the goodness of their hearts, you are dreaming. They are passing every single penny of that fuel surcharge directly onto your ticket. And without a low-cost competitor like Spirit to force them to be competitive, they have zero incentive to discount fares. The major carriers have figured out that they can make way more money per square foot by ripping out economy seats. They are replacing them with premium economy and business class because the demand for luxury is absolutely skyrocketing. Lufthansa literally openly bragged that premium economy generates around 33% more revenue per square foot than regular economy. Why would a business sell 10 cheap seats to budget travelers when they can sell 4 premium seats to wealthy asset owners? The entire industry is stratifying itself to cater exclusively to high net worth individuals. Even if another budget carrier wanted to step into those empty routes tomorrow, they literally cannot do it. The aircraft production pipeline is a complete and total mess right now. Boeing and Airbus are sitting on a combined backlog of more than 12,000 narrow-body planes. The Airbus backlog alone represents roughly 10 years of production at current delivery rates. You cannot buy a new fuel-efficient plane tomorrow, even if you have billions of dollars in cash. This supply constraint means the existing global fleet is being allocated strictly to the most profitable premium markets. The exact same hollowing out is happening in the accommodation market with Airbnb. When the platform first showed up 15 years ago, it was a cheap, no-frills alternative to a traditional hotel. But over time, landlords realized they could get a higher rental yield by turning long-term housing into pseudo-hotels. Then the city started cracking down because local housing became catastrophically unaffordable for regular residents. New York City enforced Local Law 18, and the results were absolutely devastating for budget tourists. Airbnb listings citywide dropped from around 38,500 to roughly 5,000, which is a 92% decline. The 12-month average nightly rate for a hotel room in New York City hit a record $320. Hotel prices in the city are up 12.6% over the last 2 years, which is triple the national rate. The cheap end of the platform has completely evaporated because Airbnb removed 550,000 low-quality listings. They forced the remaining hosts to move upscale or go out of business entirely. So the neighborhoods that used to host budget travelers like Crown Heights and Astoria saw drops of up to 70% in foot traffic. The budget travelers were routed out of the city entirely, while high spenders who can afford Manhattan hotels kept coming. This is exactly how people ruin their personal finances, by chasing an illusion of a lifestyle they cannot afford. You see your parents traveling, and you think you should be able to do the same thing on a basic income. But your parents did not have to deal with a K-shaped economy where a luxury cruise cabin costs $250,000 a week. Private equity firms are pouring billions into ultra-premium yachts, co-branded with Ritz-Carlton and Four Seasons. They know exactly where the money is drifting, and it is not toward the backpacker with a bag full of borrowed condiments. Even European cities are putting up financial barriers to keep budget tourists away from their historical centers. Venice now charges day visitors up to €10 just to enter the city on peak days. Barcelona bumped its tourist tax to €4 a night, with total nightly taxes approaching €15 on high-end hotels. Amsterdam is capping cruise traffic to 100 ships before banning them outright by 2035. To a wealthy couple spending $30,000 on a luxury vacation, these fees are just a rounding error. But to a budget traveler trying to survive on a tight margin, those extra costs completely break the math of the trip. The cities want fewer tourists who spend more money because it creates far less disturbance for the locals. This means tourist destinations will naturally keep adjusting their prices upward to capture the high-end demand. Another massive headwind that nobody is talking about is what is happening to the United States dollar. For the last decade, Americans could lean on a strong dollar to get genuinely cheap overseas vacations. You could go to Japan and live large on a basic salary because the weakening yen subsidized your entire lifestyle. But when you flood a destination with wealthy dollar tourists, the local hotels and restaurants adjust their prices upward. A Tokyo hotel is simply not the same bargain it was back in 2022, and now the United States dollar index is trading around 97 to 99, well off its record peaks. When the dollar weakens, your outbound travel gets significantly more expensive in real terms, even if local prices stay flat. If your wealth strategy relies on a perpetually strong currency to afford your lifestyle, you do not have a strategy. You are just floating on a macroeconomic wave that is currently reversing direction. Every single factor in the travel market is now pulling prices up and pushing budget consumers out. This is the part of the video where I tell you how to actually manage your money instead of crying about a bankrupt airline. If you are funding your vacations with a personal loan or a high-interest credit card, you are committing financial suicide. You are borrowing money at interest rates that are double what they were 4 years ago to buy a depreciating experience. You are trading your irreplaceable future wealth for a temporary hit of dopamine in a premium economy seat. Let us do the real math on what a $3,000 vacation actually costs your life. If you earn $25 an hour after taxes, that $3,000 trip represents 120 hours of labor. That is 3 full weeks of your life spent staring at a screen or working a job just to fund a 7-day escape, and if you put that on a credit card at 20% interest, you will end up working 60 hours more just to pay the bank. You are literally opening your calendar and handing over 5 weeks of your life to a financial institution. Every single time you choose to delay gratification and invest that capital. Instead, you are hiring a silent worker. If you take that $3,000 and put it into a productive asset yielding a boring 8%, that capital will double into $6,000 and then double again into $12,000 while you sleep. That is how you build a financial fortress that can withstand 20% inflation across the travel industry. The best investors I know do not care about looking cool on an international flight. They care about capital preservation and owning assets that generate predictable cash flow. They let the amateurs chase the hype and the travel vlogs while they quietly accumulate real estate and stocks. When the market corrects and the cheap credit dries up, they are the ones who buy the distressed assets for pennies on the dollar. The current leadership in the corporate world wants you to believe that everything can be automated and optimized for speed. They use artificial intelligence software to generate target lists and dynamic pricing models to squeeze consumers. But algorithms do not care about your personal budget or your ability to buy a home. They only care about maximizing revenue per square foot for a company that answers to private equity. If you do not build your own internal compliance system for your money, you will be optimized into poverty. You need to sit down every single month and manually audit where your cash flow is going. If your travel budget is growing faster than your savings rate, you have a structural failure in your personal economy. Do not wait for a financial crisis to force you to ground your own flights. Make the hard choice today to stay disciplined and stay boring. The golden age of cheap travel was a beautiful reprieve for a generation that faced massive financial hurdles. But that window is closing and the market is rebalancing itself exactly as economic law intended. You can either complain about the price of fuel, or you can adjust your strategy to protect your downside. Invest your money into things that generate yield so that one day your assets pay for your first-class ticket. Until then, keep your head down and focus on building a bulletproof system that does not rely on a bailout. Let the rest of the world go into debt for an Instagram photo while we build generational wealth. We need to talk about the hidden cost of the convenience economy. We trade our time for the illusion of accessibility. We think that because we can book a flight with a single thumb tap that it is actually a smart purchase. But every digital convenience is designed to reduce the friction between you and your money. The airlines, the hotels, and the apps are all playing a game of psychological warfare against your wallet. They know exactly how to trigger your FOMO or the fear of missing out. They make you feel like if you do not take that trip to Italy this year, you are somehow failing at life. But you are failing at life because you are spending the money you do not have to buy experiences you do not own. Real wealth is about freedom. It is about waking up on a Tuesday morning and knowing that your assets cover your basic survival expenses. If you are working 40 hours a week and then spending your entire bonus on a luxury vacation, you are not a traveler. You are just a captive worker financing someone else's quarterly profit target. I have seen so many people in their 20s destroy their long-term financial potential for a 10-day trip. They think that memory is worth more than their freedom. But memory is free. Freedom is the most expensive thing you will ever buy. I have spent the last few years living in a very modest way. I do not buy new clothes unless my current ones are falling apart. I do not eat out at expensive restaurants because I know I can cook a better meal at home for a fraction of the cost. And I certainly do not fly first class unless someone else is paying for it. People look at that and they call me boring, they call me cheap, they call me a Scrooge. But I am the one with a massive pile of cash ready to deploy when the market finally crashes. While everyone else is crying about their travel expenses, I am looking for deals on property. I am looking for undervalued companies to buy. I am building a position that will generate enough income to travel wherever I want without ever touching my principal. That is the only way to play this game. You have to be willing to be the person who says no to the party so you can say yes to the life you actually want. The travel industry knows you are addicted to the escape. They know that your daily life is so unfulfilling that you are willing to pay any price for a change of scenery. That is why they keep raising the prices, because they know you will pay it. You will put it on your credit card. You will take out a personal loan. You will do whatever it takes to get that hit of dopamine. But if you stop paying, they will be forced to lower their prices. The market only moves because of your participation. If you withdraw your capital, you force the industry to change. So next time you feel that itch to book a flight because you are bored, take a deep breath and look at your savings account instead. Ask yourself if that flight is really worth 120 hours of your life. If the answer is anything other than a firm no, you have not learned how money works. I am not telling you to never leave your house. I am telling you to be intentional about every single dollar that leaves your pocket. Travel should be a reward for your success, not a band-aid for your failures. Build the foundation first, build the assets first. Then you can enjoy the world on your own terms. And when you finally do travel, it will taste so much sweeter because you know you actually earned it. You did not borrow it from your future self. You paid for it with the surplus of your labor. That is the only way to be truly free. Do not let the industry dictate your happiness. Take control of your money, take control of your time, and stop chasing the trends that are designed to make you poor. Stay boring. Stay patient. Peace.